Hi guys, can you hear me? Okay, awesome. Okay, I'll just wait for everybody to get in here. Uh, Let me see if I can. Okay. Okay, I've just updated Twitter and on Discord announcements. I'm not sure if somebody can get into Reddit. Okay, I've updated our previous stream showing this one. That's probably the best I can do. We'll give people another couple minutes. Okay. Okay, I think we'll probably get started here. Just a heads up that there is somebody in here named Airdrop and Faucet, so I've just removed them. If people in here do have mod rights, it's greatly appreciated if you can help moderate. I'm going to kind of start slowly here to let people trickle back in. Looks like we still lost 5 or 6 people, so we'll give them a chance to figure out what the heck's going on. I apologize. I don't know if it's because I use Linux or what, but we have occasionally when I start these AMAs, YouTube decides to go to streaming mode, which means it's expecting streaming software instead of webcam. And once it does that, it does not want to go back. Um, so I don't know. I'm going to look into it. It's happened before, so hopefully we'll figure out why it goes the way it does. Airdrop and Foss is a community member. Okay. Can't blame me for that one. Okay, so anyway, my apologies again. We'll get started here. So we've launched. I mean, this AMA is mostly about the bridge that we just launched, but we're also good to talk about the dexes. Now, I'm not sure if Charles is in here too. That's good. Charles, I've been messaging you. I haven't heard back. Um, so we've launched a testnet bridge called Safebridge. Um, it's just very, very basic. It's going to become its own platform. As we've discussed in previous meetings, the SafeCoin itself does not, run entities. The entities are their own thing. So we sometimes spin them out, but then they become their own thing. So Safebridge is likely going to become its own entity and do its own things. And right now, the existing testnet can do a number of things. I'm actually very, very excited about this AMA because this is the first AMA that we have had since going to Solana where we are talking about a running DeFi application. This is our first one. And from here, I'm expecting this is going to be the majority of what we do is basically for the rest of the year dealing with different DeFi applications, with interoperability being a key feature in them. So I'll see if I can pull off a screen share here since I am so adept in YouTube. Maybe I just shouldn't even try. Actually, the button for it isn't coming up. I might just cut my losses. So I'll put the link in here. I don't want to make things worse than they already are with YouTube. So if you're looking at testnet.safebridge.org, which you see in there, you'll see a relatively pleasing UI built by Era. It is a brand new custom UI that Era has designed. And the actual bridging itself, if you go into transfer tokens, again, very nice design. So you click on the transfer button on the top right, and when you get in, you see the ability to go from a source chain to a target chain. By default, it's Ethereum, and then it goes to Safecoin. Yes, Sean, it does get recorded. Yeah. So this, although it is a test net, it is actually fully functional. It works in every single way. You can move from Ethereum into Safecoin and from Safecoin into Ethereum. We've talked about this in previous meetings. This does, in fact, do everything that we've talked about in terms of that. And we're going to continue to add features. Now, one thing I would like to say, as it is a test net, is we'd really appreciate your feedback and input on it. Now, the primary purpose of a test net um, is actually to comment on bugs. So we're looking for bugs, things that don't work the way we expect them to. Now we have not NFTs. We haven't really fully developed that part yet, so we know the NFTs probably don't work. We're expecting they will work soon, so that's not a huge deal. So NFTs we know about. Everything else here, however, should work, and so we would encourage you guys to actually test it out and try it. So, um, I guess before I go too far, I'm going to stop. Do people have questions about this? Okay. Um, going forward, what the bridge is going to be used for primarily, oh, we might have what does the NFT part do? Okay, thanks, Michael. So the NFT part will actually allow you to bridge NFTs across multiple platforms. So, for instance, and this is why it is so important to have a good bridge. Um, when you create an NFT on Safecoin, the NFT tab allows you to move that NFT into multiple chains. So, of course, people like to have NFTs on Ethereum. Some people like NFTs on Solana. When you create an NFT on Safecoin, you can actually have that NFT minted on all of those chains. Um, so it becomes a multifaceted NFT minted on multiple chains, but still with just one owner, right? So as that owner, you control the NFT on all of the chains. And that way you are, whatever that image you've produced is recorded and controlled by you on all of those chains. Hopefully that answers your question. Master Chief says NFT multicast. That is correct. Um, how will your bridge be safer than Solana's? There we go. Okay. Um, so first of all, technically speaking, um, Wormhole is not owned by Solana. Technically speaking, they are very closely related, as you guys know. So it's not ridiculous to say Solana's bridge. Um, so basically, um, when When is Mainnet? Um, so basically, how this works is the first thing that we're doing differently than Wormhole is we're creating a test net. So normally, when you have an application that you care about and that you want a high degree of reliability and security in the blockchain and crypto space, you'd create a public test net where everybody can go and test it, which is something we're asking you guys to do now. That's the first defense. Um, you start with a test net, you get things running well. So I'm going to answer your question as to why we don't usually ask when mainnet is. Uh, it's because the testnet is very important in terms of making sure that everything's working correctly and secure, so that when you switch to mainnet, it's seamless and there's no issues, there's no bugs, there's no gaping security holes. So that's the first thing we've already done, is we've launched a testnet. This is the only public testnet of Wormhole anywhere in the world, because Wormhole themselves does not actually have a public testnet. If they had a public testnet, I don't personally believe that the hack would have occurred, because I think it would have been caught before they did their last big push of upgrades. So now that's somewhat speculation, but the value and security of a testnet is well known, well documented, well studied. So that's the first thing we're doing differently, is we're actually launching this properly. Now, of course, we are going to go to a mainnet. Now, I don't even know if a mainnet will be our next announcement. We have some other test nets to release as well. So keep that in mind as well. We're launching multiple DeFi platforms here. Um, it's very, very possible that we could see a SafeSwap testnet before anything else. And as Charles here knows, who's been working on this, we in fact already have an unannounced SafeSwap testnet. Um, so all that considered, uh, there's other components as well to what we're going to do differently. The other component is, now if you look in our email that was sent out, you will see there's a couple diagrams there. And one of those diagrams shows um, uh, basically what the wormhole does and what ours does. Um, I wonder if there's an easy way to put that diagram in chat. I won't push it. Basically, wormhole wormhole operates off validator trust. So it has a number of validators called guardians, and these validators, they all ask each other, is this, so somebody submits a bridge they want to do from, say, Solana to Ethereum. The validators go and talk to each other and say, do we all agree that this transfer of funds, somebody wants to put 200 million across, or 80,000 ETH, they all say, do we agree that this is acceptable? And if they all agree, or if a number of them, basically they all have to agree, then the transfer will go through. And that's basically the number one way that Wormhole works, is it basically checks to see if everybody agrees. So that's great. But as we all know, sometimes popular opinion's wrong. Sometimes everybody can agree and it can still be wrong. And that is what happened in that hack. Is all the validators said, "Yeah, this is good," and then it went through. None of the validators checked to see, where did this $200 million come from? Where does $80,000 ETH come from? Did somebody deposit $80,000 ETH? None of the validators actually checked that, which is actually kind of mind blowing. But they just don't work that way, unfortunately. This is something we want to implement. We want to add some additional checks, some basic checks that should happen in any blockchain application. So, it would be fair to say that there is a little bit more to it. So the validators, the guardians, they actually do ask the blockchain. They don't ask the blockchain, does the math work? Has the right amount gone in? Has the right amount come out? They don't ask. They don't care, which is weird. But they do check the blockchain to verify things. So they submit a proof and the blockchain verifies, says, yes, this proof looks good, you can proceed. Great. And so there is a checking with the blockchain. However, it's not a standard check. It's not a check which the blockchain normally uses in normal operation, right? Like almost every blockchain is very good at basic questions. What's my circulation? What's the balance? How much was transferred? Blockchains are very good at answering these questions. The bridges that exist right now are very new. They don't ask these questions. They don't ask the blockchain, what's your balance, what's your circulation, how much was transferred. They don't ask the blockchain that. They just check for proofs to see that, they ask the blockchain, is this a valid transaction? So it's kind of a validity proof. And when they do these validity proofs, they use functions that are not commonly used. That's bad. That's fine. It's not a bad design, but to rely on that entirely is a bad design. You should be using the most secure, most audited, most used functions in the blockchain in order to transfer large amounts of money. So in this case, they used an obscure verification method in Solana. deep within the system programs. Solana found so here's the other problem. Solana found a bug and they're like, whoa, our verifications aren't working correctly. So normally what a blockchain would do when they find out their verifications are not working properly is they would pretty much, first of all, in this case, notify their bridges immediately. And then they would probably do a hard fork. They would do a hard fork and fix the bug right away. They would not tell people what the hard fork's for. They would just hard fork immediately, not giving people any time to develop an exploit. That happened to Ethereum last year. Ethereum found a bug in their EVM. So Ethereum found a very similar bug. They immediately did a hard fork. Immediately. Which actually shut Safetrade's Ethereum down for 2 weeks, which sucked. But they immediately did a hard fork when they found the serious bug. And they notified the right people, and they did not announce what the bug was until it was fixed. But Solana, unfortunately, instead, when they found the bug, they released it in a future version and said, 3 months from now, we're going to merge this fix in so everything will work again. And then they made it public. And they gave attackers like 3 months. They put it in their version 1.9 something version. So they gave attackers X amount of time to develop an exploit against it. Meanwhile, Wormhole was on the old version and the attackers were like, oh, well, we'll just attack Wormhole then. So there was another mistake there, where Solana kind of told everybody they don't work. And so, of course, people were like, oh, well, then I'm just going to take some money, is kind of how that worked. Um, as a bridge, as a bridge, you cannot rely on obscure functions that these blockchains aren't taking seriously. You have to use basic core functions in those blockchains that are always working every time. So in our version, what we want to add is a check, basically saying, what's the circulation? So if you want to create 80,000 wrapped ETH, what's the circulation of wrapped ETH? Is it more or less than how much with what you're creating? Like, basically, I didn't explain that properly, but anyway, the idea is to check the circulations of the input and output currencies to make sure that everything adds up using standard functions. So that's something we want to add to ours. And that's something that will happen in our testnet as well. Now, having said that, Wormhole did patch their bug, right? Solana patched their bug, Wormhole patched their bug, everything patched. Somehow somebody came up with a ton of money, everybody's happy. So they should be commended for that. Like, we should be, I mean, that is amazing that they refunded everybody and came up with that money. Absolutely amazing. So like, they should be like full creds to them for that. And full creds to them for finding the bug so fast and fixing it. So I don't want to just continuously shit on Solana and Wormhole. That's not the purpose of this AMA. But the reality is there's things that could be done better, and we are going to do those things better. We're going to take it seriously. Okay, I think I answered that question. I'll just pause for a second. If you guys have more questions, you can hit me with those questions. Yeah, do think of more questions, guys. So I will answer your question. Who asked? Master Chief said, "When is mainnet?" Um, I think the thing to highlight, first of all, I'm not saying mainnet's years away. It's not. The thing to highlight is our next big thing is probably going to be a test net of a DEX, right? You're going to see a test net of a DEX come out probably before our mainnet for Wormhole. However, yeah, I do think the Wormhole mainnet is not too far out. What we're more interested in, though, is doing it right, creating a really, really good Wormhole, developing relationships with people who want to use it. These are key things for us. Okay. So I can't give you a timeline, and it's not because it's years out. It's just because it's bad practice to give a specific timeline other than quarterly. I could give you a quarterly timeline. Anything more than that is not fair to our developers. But yeah, don't be worried about it as it's coming, but just policy. Okay. JA is saying the DEX and bridge will come together. Yes, the DEX and bridge will function together, and Safe Trade will function with it too. So everything in our ecosystem is going to be integrated together to give people a full user experience. So basically, the bridge will, yes, the bridge will not only be integrated with the other blockchains, but it'll be integrated with the DEXs. So if somebody wants to launch, say, if you want to launch a new business, you can create a SafeCoin token, and that business will be able to run on our DEXs, on Radium, on all of the other DEXs and all of the other exchanges, on all the other blockchains because of this bridge. Likewise, if some other large projects decides that they wants to list on SafeSwap, it doesn't matter which blockchain they're from. It matters a little bit, I guess, but for most of the major blockchains, that's not an issue. They can come right over, list on SafeSwap, and that's kind of the beauty of it there. So it really allows us to be part of the larger scene, um, because, and yes, it's the integrations that make that happen. So the bridge on its, again, like none of these pieces on their own are very powerful. There's a lot of dexes out there, but and the bridge on its own is limited in what it can do. But when you start combining them together, then that's where you have a lot of functionality. Um, Alton Outlook. Outlook, where are we in 5 years? Ha. Okay. Um, it's a good question, Alton. Possibilities range from all of us being dead due to some antibiotic resistant bacteria, to um, I don't know, fighting some kind of COVID strain. uh, anyway, like we are gearing up to be leaders in the blockchain space. So we are focused on development. We are focused on building up all of the platforms we need to really push this stuff. You guys can probably see our marketing, heading into this AMA has increased. It's going to increase a lot more. We need a lot more marketing. But to be fair to, the people in our community who do marketing, you need to release products every once in a while. And we had a long period where we were developing so much that, it became a little bit difficult to market. Now we're entering a phase finally where we are actually starting to do release after release of different products, and we're going to market them very, very heavily. Um, we want to be obviously one of the top blockchains. We think that we offer a more secure version, a safer version of Solana and its tools. We think it's more efficient. We think it's more decentralized. And so, yes, we do think we have advantages over Solana. And I still do feel that Solana is currently the best blockchain model in the world, um, and will continue to grow and outpace other blockchains, even though they obviously have had some rough times in the last couple of months. The fundamentals are still there. They're still multi-threaded. They're still incredibly fast and incredibly powerful. It's a very well-built chain. And so we're just taking that, which we think is the best technology out there. We're making it more decentralized, more community oriented, more efficient, more friendly, more accessible. And so I don't think there's any limits. Like I'm not allowed. I'm legally not allowed to predict where we'll be in 5 years. Um, but I'm very optimistic that I think we're doing the right things and we're building um, the best technology you could possibly build right now. Okay. Yeah, Sean mentioned, so when you look at the diagram, I think I will move to streaming software. I'm actually not too happy with this YouTube webcam AMA. I think this is my last go at it. Um, anyway, the green circles. If you look at the diagram, the green circles are checkpoints that we want to add. Now, obviously, there's more work to do on that. There's lots more work to do, but without a question, there was no need. There was no need to let that much money flow through a wormhole. And the only way that happens is if the most basic functions in blockchain are not checked. So, anyway, um, yeah, you bet, Master Chief. Fal's got a question. Fal knows what he's talking about, so I'm already nervous. Um, How do you become a guardian, and how do you make sure no malicious ones get added? Okay, really good question, Fel. So first off, I'll start by dodging your question a little bit. Um, in this most recent hack, because people are anyway, it's a very important question. People are very very focused on things like collusion, which is a theoretical. It's a theoretical event that has almost never ever happened in proof of stake systems. Um, but um, in this recent hack, it wasn't a collusion event. Just so people are clear, some of the worst hacks ever have nothing to do with collusion. Collusion is actually more theoretical. Um, Now I'll start with that, and then I'll actually answer your question. And just for people, just I'll say it again. The question is, how do you become a guardian, and how do you make sure no malicious ones get added? Um, well, I'm not gonna lie to you, Fel. In our testnet right now, um, the guardian is shielded, right? So it's a permissioned guardian. So we control the one guardian for now, and that guardian is just his own thing. Um, so this gets into a question more about what is our plan? What is our plan for the guardians? How decentralized do we want them to be, etc. I think they can be pretty decentralized. I think collusion is actually much harder than people realize to accomplish. The Guardians are going to, in my mind, and we can talk about this more. The Guardians, I think, when we eventually um, fully realize things, the Guardians will have to have a large stake in Safecoin, as an example. Um, when we when we launch Mainnet, I have not yet decided. We haven't decided if the Guardians will still be permissioned or not. It depends on timing and everything. But the long term vision, I think, personally think, is that the Guardians should actually be integrated into the Safecoin validators. I really need to think that through. Solana took a different approach. Solana created two different entities, separated them out very clearly. Um, but my gut right now says this is still not final. We can still discuss it, but I think our long-term plan and our roadmap should be that the guardians get integrated into the validators as one working system. So basically, the functions of the guardians would actually be implanted into the validators. And again, the validators already have things in place like uh, you need to have a certain amount of stake, etc. You need to have a certain amount of trust in order for the validator to work. So I think those, because they're very similar concepts of trust, I think that would be possible. Um, but I mean, to start off with, like, we can set, like, for now, right now, it's permissioned, and so we don't have an issue with malicious validators. We just don't. Obviously, that's going to evolve. Another thing I will say about this, I'm just going to be completely honest. um, the average crypto user doesn't actually care. I know, I'm just being completely honest. The average crypto user doesn't care. Should they care? Probably. And what I'm talking about is, how decentralized is the bridge? Does the average crypto user care? No. I think crypto users are just reaching, the average crypto user is just reaching the education level where what they do care about is that the bridge is non custodial. I think most people understand the importance of a non custodial bridge, and that is something we'll definitely have right away. The decentralized piece is something I think you evolve over time. Um, obviously, you continue to work more and more towards decentralization. Most of the bridges out there right now are not actually decentralized. There's very few truly decentralized bridges out there, and it is a goal for sure. We do want to head. So in the end, I think, Fal, if this helps, I think when we, maybe by the end of this year or something, I hope Safebridge can have kind of a DAO model. Um, I hope I answered that question. The decentralization piece is tricky with bridges. Um, but sometimes projects get so caught up in it that they forget basic security, which is kind of might have what happened last week. So um, normally we'd be done now, but I know we actually still have 13 minutes left because it took 20 minutes to get the stream going. Maybe Kevin, I'll talk to you after. I think I'm done with the YouTube webcam streaming. It doesn't work half the time, and also I'm noticing that it lacks a ton of basic features. So I think it's time we make the big step into real software. Um, you guys have more questions? I got lots to say, but I'd rather answer questions given it's an AMA. Okay. So heading forward, uh, we are obviously going to work. Thanks. Yeah. Yeah, Sean, I wanted to show people this new haircut. I wanted to show people that when we do something, we go all the way. So hopefully this conveys that. Um, so obviously, with regards to Safebridge, our goal is to um, get to a point where we're comfortable with Mainnet, and we do rely a lot on you guys for that to test it, find bugs, ask questions, etc. And when we're ready for Mainnet, we're ready for Mainnet. Um, there's going to be some things happening in parallel too, right? So, like, I don't think Mainnet's very far off. I'm not going to commit to a timeline right now because it's just bad policy to do that. But you guys can see, I mean, you can clearly see that much of the bridge is working and done, right? So uh, we've already got the UI built. Um, Other things are already coming into place on the business end of it. Um, Moving forward, I think, you know, as you guys know, our communities, we've built a spreadsheet of different things that people are doing. We're going to be reviewing that. Um, Another thing we're going to be doing over the course of this week and into next week's meeting is we're going to be working on our roadmap. We got a little bit delayed. We usually like to have our roadmap completed in January for at least the coming year or 2 years. We do an update every January. It's we've talked about it a lot. It's not quite done. So our roadmap is an item we want to talk about. I could potentially create a thread for it. We've done that in the past, but I'd really like to focus quite a bit on our roadmap over the next week and hopefully come up with a roadmap that we're happy with within the next 10 days or so. Um, Other things you guys are going to be seeing here soon. There's always a million things going on in the background. But yes, a DEX testnet is probably the next release you will see, a testnet for SafeSwap. So the back end of the part of that basically works now. at least for to testnet specs. And it's the UI part we'll want to revisit this week, and that's probably the next thing we will see. Um, there's a couple other questions in here. If we provide liquidity on SafeSwap, it can be more valuable than stacking. Um, Depending on the coin, like SafeSwap, one thing about our dexes is they're already going to have liquidity. One of the things we are working on in the background is doing arbitrage tools, and liquidity provision through those means. So SafeSwap's already going to have more liquidity than your average DEX will have. But we will probably provide, you know, um, tools for generating some revenue with liquidity for sure. Yes. Um, Altan has a long question here. Let me see here. There are many emerging countries that could be approached with safe trace technology in order to possibly build something together. Couldn't you simply inquire here? Yeah, absolutely. We are very, very open to working with other countries, either in the business or government realm, and we are working with some now. We'll continue to. So, Alton, if you have ideas, we are all for it, and we we generally even right now we do have a number of entities we are working with, and um, we're going to continue that. Really, our technology is built to be B2B, right? Like we're ours is much more user friendly, I think, or accessible than Solana's. But at the core, we are very, very business and government friendly with how we operate. A lot of the things that they need to get done, we're built for that. So we definitely are already working with some and we'll work with more in the future. So if you have ideas or if you're close to one, definitely let us know, and we're happy to see if we can find a solution. So now we're 50 minutes in. Um, Having said that, we did start late, so I know some of you guys probably have other obligations. Do you guys have more questions or comments that you want to add? Victor just said he sees that some people are trying Safe Trade Bridge right now. That is exciting. Yes, so Victor's in our chat here. Unfortunately, again, I think I'm about done with this particular streaming software of the YouTube webcam. I think I've finally graduated past it. But Victor is by and large the developer of Safebridge. He's created the whole back end, and again, also big thanks to Era, who has designed as a whole new front end for it. Um, so Victor has built that, and uh, I just definitely want to thank Victor and Era for their hard work. It's made a huge difference, and it's really, really exciting for me to be talking about a release. We went a little ways without one, and it's really, really nice to actually be talking about a release. And with how things are lining up, we're going to be talking about a lot more releases over the next few weeks. And um, it's fantastic. So you guys have done a great, great job with this, and we're very lucky to have you. Okay, any other questions or comments? If not, I'll say a few things here and I can wrap it up and give you guys a few extra minutes. Okay, unless we have a question which changed this, I'm going to try to wrap this up in under 3 minutes, so that we spare you guys for at least 5 minutes today. Um, so we kind of discussed we're going to be going back to the spreadsheets and going over some of the community contributions. The community's done a lot of work here. We're going to be building up a number of things. We're going to sort of be spinning Safebridge off into its own entity, getting it listed with other bridge aggregators. So trying to basically give Safebridge what it needs to become its own company, almost similar to how Wormhole is its own company. So we are working on that right now, and um, we're going to be shifting focus to the dexes now. So we've got the kind of the bridge underway. The bridge will continue to evolve from here. You're going to see new features in the testnet all the time now. So the testnet will continue to improve, and eventually we'll have the mainnet launch. When we have the mainnet launch on Wormhole, that's or just before possibly, that's when we're going to start working to list on other exchanges. I know some people have been eager. When are we going to be on other exchanges? So that will happen. That's going to happen through Wormhole. Wormhole will be the main piece that allows us to list on other ecosystems. So expect that. Expect to see that. Expect to see that through Wormhole, and um, expect to see a safe swap testnet in the very near future. Um, those are two key items we are working on. Now, keep in mind, I'm not sure if Johnny Boy's in this chat, but Johnny Boy's also been working on an NFT bridge. Uh, don't be surprised if there is some form of an NFT testnet as well coming out. I got to talk more to Johnny Boy, but I expect we'll probably have something there soon as well. So there you have, in the course of a very short amount of time, you're going to see bridges, dexes, NFT markets. We're also going to be focusing on our roadmap. Now, our roadmap, we want to review. Obviously, interoperability is really key in our roadmap. I think after what happened this week, security is a bigger issue, and that's good. That's our whole brand. So I'm looking to beef up our roadmap in terms of security, especially for bridges. Um, Bridges really should be something the most trusted piece of the whole ecosystem, not the least trusted. So hopefully we can work to fix that with simple, basic security solutions. Um, and I think it's a good opportunity because bridges are very new and sometimes lack those basic features. The other thing we'll be working on, in addition to the DEXs and the NFT markets, is this year I think we want to get into the metaverse. So the metaverse is another key piece we're going to look at. Um, and how far we support it, we'll have to see. Obviously, partnerships with other blockchains is big as well. And I am officially over time, so I will stop. Do you guys have any more questions before I let you go enjoy your Sunday? Okay, guys, we will wrap up. Thank you very, very much for your time. I am very excited for us to continue evolving this bridge and also for the other products that are coming out. You guys have been amazing. Thank you for your support. And please do chat in Discord, be active in Discord. We want lots of activity, and we are entering, obviously, with our releases. That means we're entering a marketing phase. So we really rely on all of you. And thank you very much. I'll talk to you soon.